Thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate it. We know your time's very valuable, and so we're really grateful that you're able to come on and share some of your wisdom with us.
Well, for what it's worth, I'm sure willing to share it.
Well, that's awesome. Well, before we kind of dive into everything, I would like to get kind of a backstory on your life and how you've gotten to this point, because I'm sure, or I know you didn't get to where you are overnight, and so we could maybe get some backstory for both us and the viewers.
Sure. Well, gosh, I'm just an old country boy. I came from a little town out of southeast Texas, out of Beaumont, Texas. Nobody will know where Sour Lake is. Sour Lake notoriety was it had the first producing oil well that Texaco drilled. That was in 1903, and my family originated though to Texas from Mississippi. And in fact, my great granddaddy was much like Newt Knight. If you ever saw the movie The Free State of Jones, Matthew McConaughey starred in that, and my great granddaddy was part of that group in Jones County, Mississippi, that resisted being in the Confederate Army, and of course weren't in the Union Army either. They just felt like that they didn't want to go to war, and of course they were ostracized and actually pursued by the Confederate Army. And my daddy was my great granddaddy was actually captured and put in a stockade until he escaped, and they pursued him in the swamps of the Big Thicket down in East Texas, all during the Civil War, much like what happened to Newt Knight over there in Jones County, Mississippi. So that's kind of the background. My daddy, just ordinary blue-collar worker, worked for the oil companies out of Sour Lake, Texas, was in World War II, spent 2 years overseas during World War II, and so I'm really attuned to the sacrifices that are put forth by our forefathers to keep us free and on the straight path. Very conservative background, raised Baptist. I'm a practicing Catholic now, associated with other religions too, but I think that's the main pursuit of anyone is your Christian faith and your patriotism. I graduated high school, spent 2 years going to I say little, it's Lamar University now, smaller college. Didn't go off to the big Texas A&M like I wanted to, because my daddy just didn't have the money to fund it. So he said, son, if you apply yourself and go after your college education, you won't have to work. I'll just pay for it. And I said, yes, sir. We shook hands on that. I never had to work to work my way to pay my way through college and such. He did it. I applied myself. Never took less than 18 hours regular college when I was in regular session. Took summer courses to a full max. Graduated after 5 years with over 250 credit hours in college, and 2 degrees of BS in veterinary science, and my DVM, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree. Spent 2 years in the service after that. In fact, met my wife at Texas A&M. That's when there weren't very many women there, maybe 900 on campus. I met one, love of my life. Met her there at Texas A&M. We got married 2 hours before I graduated from veterinary college on the campus at the All Faiths Chapel. So
wow.
My blood runs maroon, and we went off together. I went to service, served 2 years, had 2 children there, 2 daughters. Didn't get sent overseas. I was in during the Vietnam era, but they were paring down, so I didn't get deployed. My MOS, my job was to inspect the food processing plants in the Chicago area, actually Chicago up into Michigan as well as Wisconsin. Food processing being mainly meat processing plants. We oversaw multi-million-dollar food processing plants that had multi-million-dollar contracts with the government to supply meat and that sort of thing. After I got out, I served 2 years. I didn't. I was a little, let's say, adverse to the military life. I saw a lot of things that were happening with our military at that time, and of course, people didn't think too much of us guys in uniforms during the Vietnam era as it wound down. And so, anyway, I got out, went to Houston, heard that Houston was great, and it certainly was. It was a great place to be at the time. And when I moved there on the north side of Houston, I lived close to the Intercontinental Airport. It didn't take Houston long to kind of cover us up. We were out there in the country. In fact, I used to hunt quail in the evening about a mile from my house and my veterinary clinic, right off the interstate. But it didn't take the city of Houston long to cover us up. I was large animal. Well, I've always done just about every type of animal, large animal, small animal, did a lot of exotics, took care of a lot of zoo animals. I had a curator there in Houston that had all kinds of animals that took care of. And anyway, we always, the wife and I always wanted a ranch, a farm. We had the opportunity after we made a few unbelievable real estate deals in Houston. By that I mean that with the price of land going up, we were able to sell the little piece of land that we had when we first got there and put a down payment on a ranch up here in East Texas. Moved up here and been up here for 35 years. Just absolutely love it. We have a ranch about 320 acres, half section, and run cattle on it, raise hay. Got a fantastic fishing pond. You guys come up here and I'll show you how you can catch a bunch of bass, and you can shoot a deer or a hog or anything else off the place.
Absolutely.
But it's just a great life. I had one other wife and I had one other daughter after we had gotten out of the service and moved to Houston. My youngest daughter, she is a veterinarian. She became a veterinarian, and so she has taken over my practice. That's a long story. I don't know that I don't know that you need to know all the background on that, but I have turned the practice over to her because of a bout with cancer that I had back in 17. I was up in Wisconsin during the campaign of 16, campaigning for Trump. We took about 20 folks up there knocking doors out of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And I felt that I had some pain in my rib cage. I could hardly get in and out of the vehicle, and felt like I'd broken a rib. And sure enough, I had broken a rib and went to the doctor, and it was bone cancer. And it was a battle. Spent a couple of months at MD Anderson. At some point, maybe later, I'll tell you that story. I'm kind of getting strung out here on telling my story, and some people might be getting bored. We'll move on to something else.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyway, my daughter took over the practice, did a great job. I was essentially semi-retired. I'm in remission. So I came through that, and lo and behold, about a year and a half ago, my daughter broke with breast cancer. So I had to go back to work, and she started going to MD Anderson, and Uh, so we kind of switched the baton. When I was doing my treatments, she was working, and when she was doing her treatments, I was working. She was cleared 2 weeks before Christmas, and then lo and behold, here a couple of months ago, it came back, and so she's having to undergo that treadmill again. But we're on top of it. Praise the Lord. He's been good to us. It's just phenomenal. And just looking forward to getting to know you guys. And I'm excited of what I've heard you guys are doing and the fact that you're young. Uh, that has distressed me to no extent. There's a lot of young people in the movement, for sure. Charlie Kirk's one of them. I really admire that young man who's doing what he's doing. He's young and has the younger generation enthusiastic and involved. But to hear what you guys are doing at your age and seeking advice from an old codger like me, that does my heart good, guys. And Michael Jan spoke highly of you and your dad. So anyway, let's get on to something that might interest somebody. That little diatribe may have turned a few viewers off.
No, that's awesome. We always need the backstory of how you got to where you are. So that's incredible. Thank you for those kind of words. And yeah, we're, like you probably heard, we're just all about really preserving this republic, because it's a republic if we can keep it. And
Amen.
It's just unfortunate all the stuff that's coming against it, especially the younger minds. I mean, a lot of the older people, they're already set in their ways, but a lot of these younger people, their minds are just malleable and they're being bombarded with just all this crap. And so that's just kind of what
Absolutely.
we're doing is trying to get them back on the right track and say, no, we need to bring God back into everything, because you can't have a functioning society without God and Christ at the center of it. And so kind of what you were saying at the beginning, you're Catholic. It doesn't, unfortunately, a lot of these Christians get wrapped up in the fact of, oh, you're Baptist, oh, you're Catholic, oh, you're whatever. And that doesn't matter. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is that you have a relationship with Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior, and you put him as Lord of your life. It doesn't matter what you are, as long as you have that relationship with him, all else will fall in line. And it doesn't matter what you call yourself.
That's so true. No, I became a Catholic because my wife was very staunch Catholic and didn't want the kids to be brought up in two different denominations. So I became a practicing Catholic. But like I said, I still fellowship with others. I do the Catholic Mass vigil on Saturday evening with the family and all. I'm in Assembly of God Church on Sunday morning for the early service. I a lot of times end up at the Cowboy Church, one of the biggest in East Texas,
Wow.
for the second service, and in a Bible study on Wednesday with a bunch of Baptists. So there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. And one thing you said earlier about us being young, and what we're trying to do is to influence the younger generation and kind of show them the way they're supposed to go and help them understand the attacks from the devil and just to live a life of godliness. So things have changed a little bit from when you were a kid, but how would you disciple young men today?
Well, I guess number one is to get that education, and I don't mean you have to go to college. Education. There's a lot to education. I have a lot of friends that didn't even go to college, that have a high school degree and just phenomenally successful from a material standpoint. But that education involves making sure that you have the ability to be an independent person, that you don't have to rely on anybody else but yourself to make a living for you and your family. And that's what I'm talking about. And educate yourself on this country and realize how important the United States is to the entire world. Educate yourself on the Scripture and understand that the center of the world is Israel and the Jewish people. It really is. I mean, that's God's people, and understand how we all fit in that realm. And you mentioned, we're bombarded by Satan, and that's what we're contending with here. All these negative aspects of life, of governance. It comes straight from the devil, be it Islam, be it communism, whatever it is. They don't put Jesus Christ first, and that's what life's all about. So educate yourself, seek the truth, and it'll set you free. And when that happens, no matter what you come up against, you can handle it. Kind of like when I was laying in that hospital down there at MD Anderson in Houston, and they had to do all the things that they had to do to my body. They drew the blood, harvested it, took the stem cells, gave me a whopping dose of Malflin, a really strong chemo that wiped out all my immune system, and gosh, did it really! Oh, my body ached so much that during the day I just wanted to get the night. I said, "Come on, nightfall, so people can leave and I can rest." And at night, I'd say, "Oh, my body's hurting. I need people around me so I can forget what I'm going through." I was so weak I couldn't turn over in the bed. I was soiling the sheets and didn't know it. And in the wee morning, I cried out to the Lord for peace and help, and felt I felt Him. A peace beyond all understanding fell upon me, and my pain went away. And it wasn't that He was going to deliver me from my cancer. Not at all. It was, I have you in the palm of my hands. And that's the type of peace you feel when you get to know the Lord. And when you get that peace, you realize that no matter what you come up against, you can handle it. And always ask for His direction. So when you young people, seek the Lord first, get a good education, understand where we are as a country, understand your part that you can play, because there's a part that you can play, no matter what it is, no matter how small it is, but it can be beneficial in so many ways, no matter how you plug yourself into this big life situation. So that's kind of some of my thoughts.
Yeah, that's really good. Did you have a specific scripture that you kept in mind while you were battling cancer?
Well, there's so many that I really like. They're all kind of running through my head.
Yep. Well, the one that you're talking about earlier is Philippians 4:6, and that's, do not be anxious for anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, give thanksgiving to the Lord, and then the peace of God, which passes all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds. And so I think that's a really good one, because you're exactly right. No matter what you're going through, the Bible says, it says, "Do not worry," and Matthew says, "Do not worry about tomorrow." It says, "Fear not." And then it says, fear. That's exactly right. And don't be anxious about anything. And so God is telling us that you don't be anxious. And so if He's telling us to not be anxious or worry, and we worry and we're anxious all the time, then that's like kind of proof that we're not trusting in Him fully, and we haven't given our life over to Him, because He tells us to cast all of our cares on Him. And He'll give us peace.
Of course, mine is probably trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. I love that scripture.
That's really good.
Well, whenever you were first diagnosed with cancer, and you and your daughter, how was your relationship with Christ? Like, what changed, or did it stay the same? Did you grow closer or further?
Oh no, I grew closer. I've always had that relationship. Even when I was a kid growing up, I knew the Lord, and got that foundation from the Baptist church. My mama, she was in church every time that I was a druggie. My mama drugged me to church every time the doors were open, and but she was a definite influence, and my dad was too. Not that my dad practiced religion so much, but he made sure us kids were at church, and he made sure that we supported the church, and he did too. But my mom was the one that really led us.
Yeah, well, I mean, jumping on to, I guess the subjects that people kind of know you for is screwworms, and so I kind of want to jump on the screwworm train. And,
Sure.
Because I know that back then they were a big problem, and then you were had a main part in helping eradicate them, and then the new world screwworms, and then now they're reemerging.
Okay, let me give you a little history on them. I don't have I switched caps. I got my Army cap on.
I love it.
I don't have my veterinary cap on. I got some others I'm going to put on here in a minute. But let's talk about screwworm. When I was a kid, and I say a kid, we had cattle. My dad always had a little ranch, had a little, we called it a ranch. It wasn't much of a ranch, at 80 acres, but he ran cattle, and learned my love for animals and veterinary medicine by working with those cattle and livestock that we had. And as a kid, I always remember us, as soon as a calf hit the ground, we had to be there to doctor its navel. Any scratch or opening on a cow, you had to put medication on there to repel flies. The screwworm fly lays their eggs there, and when the maggots or the larvae develop, they don't only eat dead flesh, they eat live flesh. So they will eat live tissue. And so that's why you had to do that. You'd lose some calves if you didn't. And it was discovered that the female screwworm fly mates only one time. So if the male happens to be sterile when that female conceives, there's no offspring because it's invalid. So what they did, they started a program. The USDA did this and sterilized they irradiated the male flies, and then they started a drop program. They flew all up and down along the border in these little Piper Cubs, these little airplanes with these cardboard boxes full of male sterilized flies, and they dropped them out. When they hit the ground, the boxes broke open and flies took off and found a mate. So that's what eradicated the screwworm, and it was eradicated in the United States in 1866, yeah. It was when I was still in veterinary school, or just getting into veterinary school, and we'd studied a lot about it. So that it's been very much under control. We haven't had any outbreaks in the United States. Now, what we're seeing now is a lot of outbreaks along the Panama Canal, the Darien Gap, that area. I know Michael Yon was telling us about it. Told me about it, and I think he probably relayed that message to you too. He had been down to Darien Gap and seen some of this action happening, and it has crept up into Mexico. If that particular effort to control the screwworm had continued not just along the Rio Grande, but had gone through Mexico all the way down to Panama, and they had kept it up and been vigilant about it, it would still be way down in Central America, if not South America, and they could have eradicated it totally, but they didn't do it. So it is now, I think the last time I looked at a case, as close as it was to our border was about 300 miles south into Mexico. Our federal government has stopped a lot of imports of cattle from Mexico. I don't know whether you guys know it or not, but the United States imports more beef than we export. We import a lot of beef from Mexico. It comes up through Mexico, comes out of South America, Brazil. They bring these cattle in here and put them in a feed yard. Well, they were scared that these cattle may be infected with a screwworm, thus bringing that screwworm back into the United States. So they shut down the cattle at the border from coming in, and that's the last I've heard. We haven't had an active case of that screwworm here yet. It's like a lot of things that you hear about. People get really concerned about it, and some of the rumors that go on out there. Sure, it can be a problem, and it could be very, very devastating if we saw an outbreak of it. But I believe we've got it pretty well in control as far as being here in the United States. Now, they just need to work on it on down into Mexico and make sure that it stays down there. In fact, the Mexican government doesn't want it either. So I do feel like that they're probably working pretty hard to keep it out of Mexico too, or to eradicate it from Mexico. So that's kind of where we stand on that particular disease. But of course, when I was in veterinary school, one of our courses was in exotic diseases, because we've always, the large animal veterinarians have always been on guard for any of these diseases that could be actually transported to the United States. A lot of these exotic diseases like screwworm, hoof and mouth disease, rinderpest, a lot of diseases that would be very easy to sneak into this country. It'd be more or less a bioterrorism attack on us. And so we have to be on the lookout for anything that would cause a devastation to our agriculture.
Yeah,
so that's kind of where the screwworm sits today, as far as I am aware, and my latest studying on it and information from the USDA.
Well, I saw that. Like you're saying, Michael Yon, he had warned about these New World screwworms that were coming up from the Darien Gap and Panama several years ago, and no one was really listening to them then. But now that it's almost on our border, basically, now people are starting to take action. I love the hat.
Okay. I will talk about what you just said. This is my border patrol hat. I say border patrol. Texas Border Volunteers. Let me tell you about the Texas Border Volunteers, and this is how I got to know Michael Yon and talking about warning what's going on. There are several things that I have, and I started when I was you guys' age, of looking at in a big picture. By that I mean looking at it and saying this could be a problem. One of them was abortion. I'll talk about that after a while. I said abortion was sanctioned in this country as being legal, that it wouldn't stop at just the early stages of abortion, it'd be all the way to infanticide. And it developed and it went that direction. So that was one thing I'd predicted. Another thing I'd predicted when I was you guys' age, we used to go down along the border, have a lot of fun, kick around down there. We'd go bird hunting down there, go across the river. these little mom and pop places along the border. A lot of tourism there. Have a lot of fun. And we would get out away from Nuevo Laredo and those other towns and get way out in the bush, and there's nobody out there. And the river's just, you can wade across it in a lot of places. And I said to myself, I studied history. I looked at these wars and foreign countries and things that happen, uprising in the country and what happens when that happens, civil disorder, civil unrest. They spill across the borders, trying to avoid that. And I looked at the Rio Grande. I said, if our enemies wanted to cause damage to the United States, all they'd have to do would be go south of this border and cause an insurrection of some type, and people would be spilling across this border in numbers we cannot stop. And I made that prediction when I was y'all's age. Well, fast forward, Texas Board of Volunteers. A cohort of mine, Dr. Mike Vickers, who's been there in Falfurrias, Texas, which is just north of McAllen, south of Falfurrias, lives right there at the busiest checkpoint along the entire border on 281 coming out of McAllen. That checkpoint sees about 10,000 cars a day or vehicles a day that come through there, and they check for illegals. He and his neighbors, Dr. Vickers' neighbors, were upset the fact that all these illegals were coming across their property. What would happen was the coyotes would bring them up within 5 miles of the checkpoint, kick them out in the bush. They'd hit the ground and come through all those ranches and then come back on the north side of the checkpoint, get loaded back up like cattle, and then transported on wherever they were going. So it's been 18 years ago. He and his neighbors formed this Texas Board of Volunteers, and what it is a group of us go down there. We have 4 to 5 ops a year where we sit in the bush along that busy checkpoint, mainly at night. We do it in the daytime too, but mainly at night. We scout during the day, look for trails and such where they've been trafficking illegals. And we sit in the bush with our night vision and spot illegals and report them to the Border Patrol. And the Border Patrol comes and apprehends them. We try to avoid any direct contact with them. We're not qualified and certified to do that, but as citizens, we can report them. So we report them. The Border Patrol comes in. They appreciate us. They really appreciate us. And they come in and apprehend them and take them and process them. So we've been doing that. This group has been doing that for 18 years. I hadn't been with them 18 years, probably 12 years. But we spend, in total, about a month a year down on the border. Those border watchers were seven-day stints. And we were so busy during Biden. And it was all the time we were reporting people. Well, Trump's put us out of business. The last 4 border watches, 3 border watches that we've had down there, we hadn't spotted anybody. I mean, the border has just been sealed, which is a good thing. So what I'm saying is predicting things that can happen. You need to look at things and from an overall perspective, what's happening now, what can happen in the future. And Michael Yon seeing that screwworm down there, and he's concerned about it, and we all are. But that's the thing that we're facing here in our country is these things that are thrown out at us. This border invasion was intentional. There's no doubt it was intentional. And not only what upsets me is not only were our enemies involved in this, but our government itself. the dummies, anybody ought to be able to see what's going on. And so that's a huge um, problem. In fact, when we get off the phone, I don't want to broadcast this general, but I want to talk to you young folks there, y'all in San Antonio. We're going to have a meeting in Kerrville in August the of, of the groups and individuals that had worked the border, and we're going to, I guess, debrief is what we're going to call it, but we're going to also look to the future if of what's already happened, what's in this country, and what could happen if we don't keep a conservative as president. We'll be back down on the border working, but we're going to have some individuals. In fact, Michael Yon, we've invited him. If he's in country, he's going to be there. Jason Jones, who works for Newsmax, a great guy, he's going to be there. We're trying to get Tom Bensman there. There's several heavy hitters that had worked the border and no border issues, and that's going to take place down in Kerrville in August. And I want to get off the phone. I'll let you guys know and see if I can get you a ticket.
That'd be awesome.
If y'all to be in.
Absolutely.
You'd meet some patriots that just will blow your mind. So, you don't have to be in the service in the Army or employed by the government to be effective. And most of these people that you're going to meet, they're just like me. They're just individuals. They're just grassroots. They find a cause that's credible and get involved. Like I said, no matter how small it may seem, do what you can. So anyway, as soon as we get off this podcast, I'll talk to you. Okay?
What did the numbers of the groups of people look like that you were seeing on the border?
Well, the largest group that we apprehended during our span was 110. And you say, well, that isn't much. But think, we were just one unit of, I don't know how many were on that watch that night, probably maybe 15 of us. And that one hit that one night. I don't know how many, I can't remember how many during that whole weekend we got. But that's just one pinprick along that entire border. One pinprick. And just think of how many miles that border is. So, those numbers that you saw during Biden, where there's 100,000 or more coming across a month, that was just mind-boggling. So we that was 110 that night, but there's many times that we catch one or two. The one thing that we never caught or could never verify that they were one, we never caught a coyote. These people that led those illegals across the border, if you lit them up, we call them line them up. They'd come across, and we had these lights, and big strong lights, and we'd light them up and tell them to freeze and call the Border Patrol, or we'd let them slip on by and not say anything and call the Border Patrol and let them do it. But when you shine the light on them, the coyotes cut and run. They don't care about those people. They don't care anything about them. They only care about themselves and the money that they were making. They hit the bush, and they knew that you weren't going to shoot them. You're not going to shoot them, whether you're us as volunteers or whether you're the Border Patrol, unless they shoot back at it or try to shoot you. You're not going to do anything. So, it was very interesting. I guess the most hair-raising night that I had was I was at least 3/4 of a mile from the others that were stationed along the right-of-way, and I was stationed by myself, and I had 5 individuals at about 2:30 in the morning, young military-age guys walk within 20 feet of my post, and of course I just froze. They luckily didn't see me. I don't know whether they'd cut and run or whether they'd tried to attack me. But once they got by, I reported them, and they did pick them up. But it was I think a situation where we did some good, did a lot of good as far as helping the Border Patrol and trying to stop this. We spread the message. In fact, I got a PowerPoint presentation, and I presented one more in our unit. Guys in our unit did the same thing. We were guest speakers at a lot of grassroots meetings and such, and showing the PowerPoint of what we did and the numbers that were coming across, spreading the word, letting people know what was happening along our border. So we did a lot of good.
When you talk about your post, are you sitting like in a deer blind on somebody's ranch, or are you like on the side of the road?
I say, oh no, we had 2 deer blinds there that we did station some people in. But no, we were actually on the ground in amongst the cactus and the mesquite, and you'd hunker down and try to hide yourself as well as you could. And that you were on the ground just right there with them. Yeah. And we did carry a sidearm. None of us ever had to pull a sidearm in all those 18 years. Thank goodness. But we had that for our protection. We didn't have any long guns. So that's the way we handle that. We'd report them, and like I said, a lot of times, especially if you're out there on point, kind of by yourself, you didn't want to try to stop a group of individuals by yourself. You needed your buddies around you to kind of to help you out. So
yeah,
that's the way that goes.
That sounds like you get an adrenaline rush when they're running by you. But
yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Well,
because you just don't know what. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, kind of going back a little bit to back to the screwworms. To finish kind of my question, I was going to say or ask you, do you think that since we're seeing the screwworms now in Mexico, just stopping the importing of beef, do you think that's the solution? I mean, it seems like it's kind of a reactionary thing. Like we're seeing them come up and then we're stopping it. And I think we're not. I think the main thing is we need to go after the screwworms deeper and deeper all the way to Panama.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Oh yeah. Well, they're dropping flies again. They're definitely dropping flies. And Mexico is cooperating because Mexico wants to send us beef, and they're not going to send us beef if they don't start trying to control this screwworm. So yeah, and it's kind of that way. You keep a vigilance, and when you start seeing these hot spots erupt, you address them. And I commend the USDA. I commend the veterinarians that in private practice that work the border for looking out for it. And I commend those that have notified the proper authorities that screwworm is headed our way. So we've effectively kept it from coming across the border. It's right there bumping on our back door, and it could be quite devastating to our livestock if we don't stop it. And but so far, I guess we're in the driver's seat, but we really need to keep a vigilance. Mm-hmm.
The screwworms, you said livestock. Do they go after all types of flesh, like pets, cats, dogs, or even humans?
Even humans. I remember a couple of reports of individuals dying from the screwworm. In fact, it was kind of sad. I think it was an immigrant or a migrant that was in the United States and got up in the nose and just ate the flesh and just killed them. They couldn't. By the time it was discovered what was happening, it was just too late. So yeah, it'd get in any flesh, any living, warm-blooded individual, in a cut, in an orifice, like I said, a nose, that sort of thing. Yeah.
What makes these screwworms so devastating? Like, aside from flesh eating, does it cause infections?
Oh yeah, yeah. It can cause infection, but mainly it destroys the tissue. It will actually destroy the vital organs. It'll start eating away at anything that it comes in contact with. Like I said, that poor immigrant that those larvae got up in the nasal cavity and started eating away and destroying everything in its path. And that's how they're devastating. That's their main cause of death and to animals and such. You have possibly, I guess you have, but at least you've studied maggots, fly maggots. Fly maggots, normal blowflies and such, they eat dead tissue. In fact, I've seen in a lot of cases of animals being brought to my clinic that full of larvae, and it's from blowflies, and they're eating the dead tissue and actually are beneficial. They clean up the rotting, nasty tissue, and you say, oh my gosh, yeah. In fact, there is, and you can probably look it up. They used to actually use maggots to clean up wounds and such. Let those blowflies larvae clean the tissue up and such. But the screwworms totally different, live flesh. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm thinking that if we didn't do anything back in the 50s or even now, that these screwworms or these flies would later cause famines, which would cause the earth to starve.
Oh yeah, you destroying your livestock, and yeah, that's the thing that would definitely happen. Anything that would destroy your livestock production would affect the food chain, and that's something. I'm getting up here. I'm going to show you a couple of deer that had wandered up to my back porch. Whoop! I scared them off.
Oops.
Whoops! I scared them off. Oh well, they better run to the woods. Enjoy it. My grandson will be up there sitting on that stand come deer season.
There you go.
Yeah, and it would destroy we would be looking at our livestock for sure. But think about, and I'm just going to show you the deer. Think about that. The deer that are running out there in the wild and you don't get to see them and don't know what's happening to them, and that screwworm is in them, and those screwworm are breeding and propagating out there in the wild. So it's not only the domestic animals that we have to contend with, but the wild animals too. So it could be devastating.
What are your thoughts on vaccines, both for humans, I guess transitioning back to veterinary? What are your thoughts on vaccines, both for humans and for animals?
Woo, you're going to start me on the subject now.
Oh, yeah, it should be. It probably should be like, like as a whole, have vaccines served to help, or have you noticed, like, whenever you inject certain vaccines in animals that they get sicker or whatever?
Well, we don't see that much of a problem with the animals. Really don't. Any individual can react to anything. I'm for vaccine. These new so-called vaccines that we're seeing, RNA products and such as that, this COVID stuff is, I don't want to use an expletive that I want to say that I didn't have the COVID shot, and I wouldn't encourage anybody to get the COVID shot. It's just not. It's not a vaccine per se. There's too many side effects. I feel that I got to take a big deep breath here. I'm disappointed in the fact that our government pushed this vaccine, and the medical community pushed this vaccine and the treatment of COVID the way they did. Truth be known, and I think a lot of people think this and know this, we lost a lot of people unnecessarily, and to me it was big pharma and a lot of big med that was pushing the vaccinations and the treatments, and and since we're on that subject, as far as cancer is concerned, there are a couple of drugs out there that have been phenomenal in checking cancer, controlling cancer, and a lot of people already it's all over the internet now. Ivermectin and fenbendazole are two of the products that that I know that everybody's heard about, and I've had personal experience with them as far as keeping my cancer in check, and they have worked, and I've not been on chemo, even though the doctors wanted me on chemo because my type of bone cancer, multiple myeloma, does reoccur, and they want you to keep continuing a low dose of chemo to keep it in check. My body reacted about 4 years ago to that maintenance chemo, and I told the doctors, that's it, I'm done. And I got on ivermectin and fenbendazole, and all my indices for my cancer has dropped really low, and I've had no problems with it reoccurring. And it's a mild, safe medication. It's you heard people calling it a horse warmer during COVID because it has such a good effect on COVID and viruses. They were really dogging on Trump for recommending it, this horse warmer. Well, I tell you, it works. Cancer, on viruses, other things. And I feel in my heart of hearts that Big Pharma is not promoting it. They're not doing the research on it like they should because it's cheap.
Well, you can't get any money. Cheap. A healthy patient doesn't bring any money.
Oh, the money that is spent on treating cancer and diseases is just, and somebody's making some big bucks. I know that from a fact of the medicines that I use in my veterinary practice. Gosh, when I started way back, in the '60s, when I graduated, in the late '60s, we had medications on the shelf that were produced by companies, and those companies were taken over by larger companies, the big pharma companies, and those medications that used to cost us, well, eye drops, atropine, insulin, those type of products that were cheap, just quadrupled, 100 times sometimes the price of what we used to get them for, because the big pharmacies had them, and nobody else was producing them. So there's supply and demand, and they had the supply, and anyway, the smaller companies went out of business, and the bigger companies took them over, and all the prices went up. So I really like what I'm hearing from RFK Jr., and I hope that we have some answers to those problems.
Yeah, I think, I think just, unfortunately, in my opinion, RFK is not doing enough. I think the first thing he really needs to go after is the jabs, because that's, obviously you've seen, it's just, it's a weapon, it's a bioweapon, and we've seen the destructive horrors of it, and it's just unfortunate that he's really focusing on the food dyes and stuff. And yes, that is important, getting the high fructose corn syrup, red number 4 out of all the foods and stuff. But that'll kill you in 40 or 50 years. These jabs, we've seen are killing people now, and this turbo cancers and everything that we're starting to see, cancers that never existed before in kids and everything. And so that's that's really what I'm passionate about. We need to get these jabs off of the shelves immediately for everyone. Not just don't recommend them, but get them off the shelves. I mean, we know what they're doing. We know the destructive power that they're bringing.
Yeah, I do feel like we need a reset in relationship to those type medications. I do believe in vaccines. I mean, I still have the scar of my smallpox vaccination on my shoulder or on my arm, and there are a lot of vaccines that I have had that gave me immunity to fight off diseases, and I do wholly recommend them. Rabies vaccine, I've had, I don't know how many rabies shots. I've been exposed to rabies on several occasions, and just glad that those rabies shots were available to keep me from contracting that disease. But those were safe vaccines. These products that they're producing now, you're totally right. They're dangerous. They're absolutely dangerous. And is there a conspiracy of somebody trying to wipe us out? I don't know. I don't like to listen to Bill Gates, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
When he talks about controlling population and he's pushing all the vaccines he's pushing. So,
Yeah, so
yeah.
do you think with the harmful COVID vaccines that they are now taking that technology and then sneaking it into like the rabies vaccines and smallpox and all of those?
I hope not. I mean, we can sit here and talk about these things, conspiratorial situations, but I would hope that they're not doing that. I haven't seen any indication of that, of any of our core vaccines being co-opted, but it could happen. I mean, I don't trust China one bit. China wants to kill us, and that's where we got the COVID. That's where it came from. I mean, they set us up, and it could easily be done. So you've got to be vigilant.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the polio vaccine, whenever that was years ago, but I believe they found SV40 in the polio vaccine and
Simian virus 40.
SV40, yeah, simian virus 40, turbo cancer. They found that inside of the polio vaccine, and I mean, you can't make this stuff up. They're using the same stuff in the COVID jabs.
Well, I had the polio vaccine. It was an oral.
I think we all did. Everyone had to get them, yeah.
Yeah, we lined up at school, and polio was quite a disease back when I was a youngster. I had a real dear friend that his leg was affected with it, and several people had died from polio, and they developed this vaccine and shut polio down. Now, have they changed the formulation of it? I don't know. I haven't followed it that well. But
well, I think the main,
any of these vaccines.
Sorry, no, like I said, I think the main thing with these vaccines is that for a lot of them, there have been 20, 30 plus year long-term studies on them, and then that's when you see the true effects of them, and then that's how I think how you make your decisions. Because the ones that have just been those mRNA ones, that I mean, they pushed it out after 8 months, and that's just not. There's no credibility. There's no long-term studies to review the effects on the body. I mean, I know that a bunch of cancers and like autism and stuff was on the increase as different vaccines were added, and now the child's schedule before you're 18, it's like 72 vaccines, and so that's a lot different than what it was back then. Back then it was a lot less, but I don't think a kid needs 72 vaccines. I think their body, a lot of times their bodies are designed to fight off a lot of these things naturally.
Absolutely.
Given you eat the right food, you get in the sun and do what God created you to do. And whenever you live like that, again, that's part of what we're promoting is living wholeheartedly, getting outside and and doing all that, then your body will naturally react and defend a lot of that. And the same goes for sickness and just a lot of other stuff. When you do the right things, eat well, exercise, and get outside and not just be stuck inside or on your phone, a TV all day, then your body has a natural immunity to a lot of those things, because that's just how God created us.
Oh, absolutely. I don't deny that fact at all. And in fact, in relating to the COVID, I know I've never tested positive for COVID, but I know I had COVID. But I had COVID before they knew it was COVID.
Yeah.
I had all the typical signs and everything else, and I fought through it, have immunity against it, and I never have contracted it. But it's certainly something that we need to look at very closely, and I can understand why people are angst about taking vaccines, especially after we've been through what happened with the COVID vaccine. And even the president, even Trump took I don't know how many shots he had. I know he had one shot, and I just hope it doesn't flare up on him. But some people just really reacted to it.
Yeah,
and I know people, and I have family members that I feel like it was because of the injection they died. So
yeah, I mean
I hear where you.
these COVID jabs have really given the word vaccine a bad reputation, because vaccines,
Absolutely.
the word vaccine has been proven through FDA and years of experience and testing, but what they did for COVID, it was just, like you said, a few months, and they called it a vaccine when it's not even a vaccine, it's a jab.
Well, and now the FDA had just recently, they approved the mRNA shots, COVID shots, to be used on little kids, and that's unacceptable. We've seen the results and the data of these weapons, and we know what's going on. That there's no you cannot deny the fact that that's killing a lot of people. Soccer players dropping dead on the fields, newscasters, whatever. They're all just dropping, cardiac arrest, whatever. And just, I mean, I think that's another big misstep on FDA is they're just. So it almost seems like you got to step back and be like, is there some sort of agenda? Because we know what these things are doing, but yet they're still being pushed, and they're being pushed pretty heavily now, and the FDA has now approved them. So that I don't know. That's just you just got to question it.
I totally agree with you. I really was upset when I heard the news that it is approved for such young kids and promoted. They're not forcing you to, but they're sure pushing it and recommending it. And that'll give you youngsters a project to look after. See if you can call some people to task on that situation. But I think like you said that RFK should be looking at that particular situation more so than the dyes and such that are in foods.
Well, nobody said you can't do both. You can take jabs off the market and take off the 40.
Yep.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, you youngsters, y'all are a little closer to the Guadalupe than I am. I'm going to put on my last hat that I have here. I'm a volunteer firefighter.
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
I can tell you all kinds of stories. In fact, this morning I had to extricate an individual out of a car, had a wreck. I had to do that before I went to work.
Wow.
But my hat's off to all those volunteers that are down there. It was quite devastating. And you ask why could this happen? Well, it does happen, but it tests us as people, as believers. And it's just phenomenal what volunteers do. I just got back 3 months ago from North Carolina. Took a church group up there, still working for that hurricane devastation in North Carolina. They hadn't cleared it up yet. And I so much wanted to be down on the Guadalupe and help out, but cannot do that in my situation right now. Eventually, I'll probably work my way down there, but that's so to me dear to who you are when you get down to a situation like that and see the devastation and get down there and work and put sweat into helping people recover and love them and hug on them and help them through their trials and devastation. That really builds character. And if you guys get an opportunity to take a break and just run down there for a long weekend or something, I'm sure they'd put you to work.
Oh yeah, well we've actually we've been down there right from almost the beginning. We've been helping out. We were actually with Doc Pete Chambers and the first responder efforts at the beginning right when the waters receded. So we were looking for bodies and everything, and it was.
Bless you.
Yeah, thank you. It was pretty destructive. Just we were talking about it earlier, but it's really humbling to see just the destructive force that water has. And also, we said earlier that we have a family ranch over near Kerrville, and so we're very, very familiar with that whole area. We basically swam that whole river throughout our lives, and so just to see it decimated and the lives changed or ended from it is just incredible to see. And
well, I'm proud of you guys. Then you impressed me even more. Doing that's absolutely great.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely great.
I mean, it was absolutely tragic to see all those things, but we did get a lot of hope that came from this, and we saw Texans helping Texans and just all the people around just rising up, getting down there, like going up I-10 up to Kerrville. It was just truck hauling their skid steer, just ready to get out into people's property and just to help them start clearing. And it was just absolutely amazing to see all the people there to help.
Good. Well, yeah, our prayers need to be with them, and what help we can, whether we're down there or send them some money. But they've got a long road to hoe. It's going to be a while before they get back to normal, and it's not going to be the same for many years to come.
Yeah, that's unfortunately a fact, and you're right. So, I mean, still, the people in North Carolina are still dealing with that, and they will still deal with it for years.
Yep.
Well, as we kind of wrap up, I know we've been going a little while. It's awesome. We could talk for hours and hours, and I'm sure we'll do this again. We'll do this again soon. But
okay.
I guess a last finishing up question for tonight. What is some advice you would give to throughout to the younger generation from your wisdom, just about how to live wholeheartedly and how to live a life that is pointed towards Christ and staying away from the things of this world, living in this world, but not living of this world?
Well, find you a Bible-believing church and be part of that church, and get right with Jesus Christ. That's the first thing. I think we mentioned that starting off. And just seek the truth and just live your life as best you can. It's going to be lots of ups and downs, but you learn as much from the downs as you do from the ups. In fact, sometimes I think you learn more when things hit you and get you down. I think you learn so much, and it tests your character. So, get in there and conduct yourself admirably, represent who you are, your family, make your family proud, make your spouse proud when y'all get old enough to get married and that sort of thing, and your family, and look after them. And I think I think I feel a lot better just after visiting with you guys that the future is bright, and we'll all we're gonna be all right when we got youngsters like you, young people like you doing what you're attempting to do and trying to do. It's great, and thank your dad and mom for raising you that way.
Yeah, we give a lot of credit to them. We were raised just to be able to think, because that's a big lack that we're seeing is just people can't think, and so that's really, I mean, for better or worse. I mean, for worse probably. When you can't think, you're just a mindless slave, and so being able to break free from that and be able to think for yourself is, I think, very important. Well,
looking forward to meeting you guys and shaking your hands and visiting some more. And at some point, I'm sure we're gonna possibly get together.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
we will. Well, thank you, Doc. We appreciate you coming on tonight. We appreciate your time. And again, we'll do this again very soon. But thank you for unloading your wisdom on us.
Yes, thank you very much.
Well,
Thank you very much. Really
don't wanna
appreciate it.
Well, we've been going for, I know better than an hour. I don't know if anybody's going to want to listen to all this, but it's been very good, very good conversation. I've enjoyed it. You guys,
Sure.
best of luck to you. God bless.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir.
Yes,
God
sir.
bless
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Uh-huh.